And so you decided to become a Christian. Were you an atheist before you were a Christian?
Yes, yes.
Really?
Like a hardcore atheist, like a red atheist.
And what did that
Like
mean?
a
What does that mean to you, an atheist? What is an atheist?
An atheist would be someone who's convicted that God isn't real. So like a lot of people, I think most people are agnostic because what they want to do is not think about it.
Right.
They just want to think about themselves and feeling good. An atheist, which is what I was, a capital A atheist, is someone who is concerned with religious people and the effect they're having on the world. And you think the way to make the world a better place is to promote the idea that those religions are false. And so you read books by Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris and these types, and you try to make arguments against religion. And that was sort of something I did.
Wow. And so did you feel the need to argue against religion? Why didn't you just be an atheist and just go and be an atheist and do your own thing? Did you feel the need to prove that it was wrong? And if so, why?
Jesse, that's a great question. Like truly an excellent question, because I find that when I look back on myself, I would continually consume content about how God isn't real. And I would constantly be hunting for that next argument that proves that I'm right.
Yeah.
I think because it weighs on your conscience. Because I needed to continually know that I was right and prove myself right over and over, because I knew I was wrong. Deep down, you feel that God is real, or you feel he might be real, and that's terrifying. So you constantly need to affirm that you're correct. And so I think that's what was going on, is that I was continually trying to give myself permission to be atheist, that God isn't real, that I'm not being held accountable, that there's nothing out there, that I'm not being wanted of. And so I find that when I talk to other people who were atheists that have now converted, they have the similar experience where they look back and they say, oh, I was so hungry for the information. I think I wanted to prove to myself I was right so that I wouldn't have to be afraid.
I notice in human nature, that everybody, whatever they believe or whomever they think they are, it's like human beings don't just be and do what they think they are, if they want to be atheist or not Christian or whatever. They don't just be that. They always got to prove that the people who are not what they have in their mind that they are, they got to prove that they are wrong. They don't just let people be and then they just be. They got to prove something. Why is that?
It's interesting. I think that it's like what I said. I think truly if you're convicted in your belief, you need them to be wrong so that you can be right. Whereas I find as a Christian, I want to spread the gospel, not to prove that I'm right, but because I'm called to, and it brings me joy. And so I think that when you're right, it doesn't bother you.
Right.
If you're a kid and someone tells you that you stink and you don't, it makes you crazy.
Yeah.
Right? You go nuts. I don't stink. But if someone tells you stink and you do stink, kind of secretly, you're like, dang, I got to do something about how bad I stink. So I think there's a little bit of that going on in this situation.
I noticed that with the Christians too. Christians don't just be Christian. They got to go around and I don't know about all, but most, they have to go around and prove that they're Christian and that they're right being a Christian and that you're wrong for not being a Christian. You're going to hell. Why don't the Christians just be quiet to be a Christian?
Well,
is it the same thing?
I think that a part of Christianity is the idea that you have this great news and this thing that's affecting your life at the center of your life, and you're called to share it. And I think some people take that too far and they sort of say, I'm right, you're wrong, instead of, I have good news for you. You will enjoy this. Yeah. So I think that people just, they get overzealous, They get fired up and they feel the need to be right instead of be good.
Good point. So when you were an atheist, Did you have perfect peace?
No, 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 I was miserable. I was very depressed. I was anxious. I was looking to be medicated. I was always looking for the next therapist that was going to help me or the next thing that was going to fix me, as the kids call it, self-care. I was always, you're encouraged constantly to improve, but not in a real way. No one's ever saying go to the gym or whatever stuff like that. They're
Right.
always saying like, go get medicated, talk to a doctor, this and that. And so I was not well. I definitely didn't have peace of mind, which I think plays into why I needed to consume so much atheist content and argue so often.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
And what was important to you as an atheist? What was important to you?
I think that as an atheist, in my mind, I thought the meaning of life was something that you create, and whatever you decide it is good as long as you are not outwardly hurting anyone else. And so, like, if you're a degenerate, that's good as long as you're not affecting other people. Things like this. Of course, now I see that that's sort of a silly way of thinking.
Yeah.
But, at the time, it seemed like if I'm not hurting anyone, I should be able to do anything I want at all. And that should be just fine.
One last thing about that. When
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
an
please.
atheist, did you have friends and once you became a Christian, did they turn against you?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had the unfortunate experience of being an being an atheist for so long. I had lots and lots of very devoutly religious friends. I'm from Utah, which is a very religious place. I knew a lot of LDS people or Mormons, if you're unaware that that's what they call themselves now. But
Right.
they're very religious, very kind, very serious people about their religion. And I
Yeah.
had lots of friends who were very devout. I had Catholic friends, I had Muslim friends, and they were all very kind to me, loving, spent time with me, enjoyed their hobbies with me, despite the fact that I was an atheist. I became Christian. Of course, they're all elated for me. They're very supportive. Even my Muslim friends were very supportive of me. I had a lot of atheist friends who no longer wanted to be around me, no longer wanted to speak to me. Some didn't want to work with me. Some pretended to support me, but later on confronted me about it and were frustrated with me. Yeah, it was not great. So I had the unfortunate experience of losing friends over my conversion.
Amazing. And so now you walking down the road one day and you decide, you know what, I want to be a Christian. Or how did you decide? What made you decide, or how did you decide to become a Christian?
So the road to me becoming Christian was a long one. It happened in two parts. One part was the logical part, and one part was a very incredible spiritual experience I had. So the logical part was I moved to New York and I was successful and I had money and I had women and I had, professional friendships and I was doing well and I was more sad than ever.
Yeah.
And I was trying to sort of get to the bottom of that. Like, why would I be so sad if I'm doing better than ever? I'm not poor anymore. Why am I sad? And the more I indulged in sort of my degenerate lifestyle, women, whatever, all these things I enjoy, the sadder I got. And I thought, this doesn't seem right. And then I was like, well, who in my life is happy? And I noticed that, my religious friends, even though they were tired a lot of the time, they have a lot of kids and things, they're very happy. And so I said, what are they doing? And so I went and looked, and they're all very conservative. They believe in family values. They all live close to their families. They're doing all the things Christians or Abrahamic religious people do. And so
Yeah.
I started to look into that and, let's not watch porn. Let's not overeat. Let's not have casual sex, and these things started to fix my life. And then I thought, oh, maybe I should be more open to God. And then I sort of started reading more, and I discovered that it's pretty logical that God is real. And so I became a deist. So I'm not a Christian. I just believe in God at this point. And then my grandfather passed away, my grandfather who was Catholic, and I began to have these incredible dreams. I'm making a long story very short, but
Right.
I started to have this overwhelming urge to go to church. And I went from being an atheist. Now I'm just a guy who doesn't care. And for the first time in my life, I'm obsessed. I can't stop thinking about it, these intrusive thoughts. So eventually I went to a church. I had a supernatural experience where I saw Heavenly Mother, or otherwise known as Mary. And it healed me spiritually in an instant, fixed my, set me on the straight and narrow in terms of my relationships with women. And it just changed my life so totally and completely in one moment that I was like, well, I guess I'm dedicating my life to Jesus now, and that's what I've done. So
Amazing.
yeah, it was a long process of a lot of logical steps and just kind of seeing what is best for a person and what lifestyles are good.
Uh,
And then the exclamation point on that was God reaching down and saying, "Good job, boy. How about that?" And he gave me a little cherry on top.
Amazing. I want people, and we're going to tell people how to get your website and all that, because I want them to hear the full story about your relationship with your grandfather and what happened once he expired, and then you became a Catholic, and then the experience with Mary. I've never heard
Yes.
it as anyone speak about Mary in that way, and to have that kind of experience with her.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I'm very lucky, and I've since looked into it, and some of the more credible Christian miracles have to do with seeing apparitions of Mary, and so I'm just very fortunate to have had that experience, and God is good, and so is His mother. So
amazing.